Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and I play Dead by Daylight, so you don't have to. This is a notion that I admittedly don't know how prevalent it actually is in Dead by Daylight, but I'm still going to make a video on it because I've still seen it more than I'd like to, okay? And so I'm going to cover it. If it's a notion that's coming up, I don't know. I don't watch your favorite content creators because they're fucking trash. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this here and provide counter arguments to this notion to the best of my ability. Okay? It has come up for me on multiple occasions that the MMR system that's in the game right now is promoting camping and tunneling. Okay? And this is a problem because camping and tunneling are quote-unquote toxic. It's not fun for me to be camped and tunneled as a survivor. Behavior. You know, shit like that. Okay? I've seen it too many times, so I'm going to cover it here. The MMR system that's in the game right now, we already know how it works, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Could it be better? Absolutely, it could be better. Okay? Is it better than the ranking system, though? Yeah, absolutely. The ranking system was complete and utter garbage. Okay? The problem with the ranking system, the biggest problem with the ranking system above everything else is that it told killers how to play. Okay? That's the biggest issue. Okay? It told killers how to play. It promoted certain aspects of gameplay. Okay? The only thing, it's not that camping is being promoted by the MMR system. No. That's not what's happening at all. It's just that all elements of gameplay are equally as unpunished by the system. Camping before was just extremely punished by the system. It's not being promoted, it's just not being punished. There is a clear difference in that mentality. The devs aren't punishing anything. Will they implement something to punish face camping soon? They've kind of implied it. Okay? There's some kind of core game mechanic that they're gonna somehow make. They don't want to punish proxy camping, though, and I absolutely agree with that. So, expect some changes in the future. But for right now, face camping and proxy camping are both equally as okay. Okay? And I want to note a distinction there. Okay? What is the distinction between something being promoted versus something not being punished? Okay? In the previous matchmaking system, camping had this mentality behind it. If you camped, you lost points for your emblem. Okay? That is camping being punished. Okay? That is the style of gameplay that killer is weakest at. Go around the map, leave the survivor on the hook, provide a 1 versus 4 game even if your map pressure sucks. Okay? That style of gameplay was being promoted by the system. Okay? Now the system is rewarding your kills. Okay? So now it's just camping is no longer being punished. It's not giving you extra MMR. It's not giving you extra points for camping a survivor. It's not being promoted by the system. What the system is doing is allowing whatever the meta is to breathe. It's allowing the meta to start seeing more function. General killer actions that are the meta now have more leeway to breathe because the ranking system isn't telling them that they have to play a certain way. Okay? Which means only one thing. If you are seeing a rise in camping in Dead by Daylight, it has nothing to do with the MMR system itself, but rather some core game issues. Okay? And there are two reasons why camping is, as I've always suspected, the meta tactic in this game. Proxy camping, at least. You have busted maps and weak killers. A combination of both. Busted maps, weak killers. Now, obviously, these kind of go hand in hand, but there are some different aspects to each problem. Busted maps, weak killers. Okay, busted map could be something like Mother's Dwelling, which is only busted because it's so big, so killers cannot effectively maneuver around the map. Okay? Or it could be something like Larry's or Gideon Meat Plants, where it's big. It's not as big as Mother's Dwelling, but the tiles are so fucking broken, and there's so many god palettes, to where an average killer has no realistic hope of actually competing there if they go around and play the way you want them to play. Okay? And this means that we have to decide, as we continue to balance the game, if you want less camping as a survivor, what you have to do is give up tiles and give up maps. That you have to do it. If you want, I point to Blight here all the time because Blight is the purest example of lethality and map pressure mixing. Okay, he doesn't really have any kind of weird gimmicks like Nurse, where he's not really map pressure, but I mean, Nurse has more map pressure than a 115 character, sure, but she lacks map pressure when compared to Nurse, Blight, and Twins, who are the top 4. The reason that Nurse is still the best in the game is that her lethality is simply the best. Her map pressure doesn't matter when she can down you in 2 seconds, okay? And she can start a slug game. That's the best in the game. Like, by far the best in the game. So, like, but Blight, Blight doesn't have any gimmicks like Twins or Spirit, who is still just kind of really focused on that intrinsic map pressure element, and gets downs through that busted add-on that's really, really good. But Blight is the purity of Dead by Daylight, okay? Like, Blight has some bullshit, sir, but I haven't seen, like, one Blight clip where I look back at the clip and I go, okay, the Blight 100% got her here. If the survivor just kind of analyzed the tile they were at and didn't disrespect the character they were playing against, the character wouldn't have gotten the hit. 99% of Blight plays that I see are like that, okay? But that being said, Blight does have a strong punish game, and he does have a strong map presence, making him Dead by Daylight's purest character. By far Dead by Daylight's purest character. If you want less camping in Dead by Daylight, you need more characters to be where Blight is right now. To have a good combination between map pressure and downing power. Okay? Because as it stands right now, the best way for weak killers like Myers to actually win the game is to get one hook and then use that hook to section parts of the map off, as I'm doing in this clip here. I'm getting a hook I need. Like, look, as you can clearly see, we have, like, what, 2 hooks right now? But what's happening is the camping that we're doing is allowing us to section off the 3-gen that we need in order to actually win this game. Even though we have 2 hooks, I think 3 hook stages now, because that person just hit stage 2, we are on pace to win the game because of the hook we chose and the pressure that we are choosing to apply with our limited mobility and our limited downing power. Okay? We need to section off the map some way, and this is the way we're doing it. So camping is unfortunately the direction this game is going because of that fact. If you want less camping as survivors, you need to accept nerfs. That's the only way it's going to work. You need to accept nerfs on the maps and maps on the maps and nerfs on your nerfs on the maps, and then that's the biggest one, and then buffs to the killer. Nerfs on the maps, buffs to the killer, and probably a dead hard nerf as well. You need to accept all this stuff, because if you don't, it doesn't matter what restriction the devs are going to put on the camping, unless it's really, really busted. Like, obviously this could change. We'll have to read it when it happens, but 99% of ideas the devs are going to have to punish face camping now and not punish proxy camping means that proxy camping isn't going anywhere from the meta. It's just not going to. With the ability to section off the map, with how good that is right now, unless the idea they come up with is like super busted, a lot of killers, especially the weaker ones, are going to work within those confines to make sure they can do it to seal off their 3-gen. Because that's how important that is right now. Unless, of course, you buff these characters and nerf your maps, Dead by Daylight is always going in a weaker direction. And notice we haven't been talking about the MMR at all, because that doesn't matter. The system we use for matchmaking doesn't at all determine what the balance of the game is. Okay? All the MMR system is doing is removing the fucking awful punishment of all gameplay styles and allowing every gameplay style to breathe. Okay? So you're seeing a rise in camping right now because of the fact that camping is simply the way that characters have to play the game due to its imbalance. Pure and simple. If you want a fun game, you need to improve the balance. Okay? It's all about improving the balance. And this is something that I've been talking about from day one. You have to improve the balance of Dead by Daylight if you want to improve the fun factor. Because the game is going in a camping direction right now, not because of MMR, but because of the game's imbalance. And that's just the biggest fact you've heard today, ladies and gentlemen. Because killers that ignore Scott Junn's videos and killers that don't give two fucks about your fun and only care about winning see the writing on the wall. Especially 4 minutes into the game when the game's already over because of the generators flying. Blame it whatever you want to blame it on. Gen speeds or maps. Whatever you want to blame it on. The fact is that when the writing on the wall, when the gens go down and the killers have one viable 3-gen that they now have to defend for the rest of the match, you're going to see camping. That's just how it works. And the maps that I, as a killer player, feel more like able to not camp on are maps like Grim Pantry, are maps like Dead Dog Saloon, where the map is actually balanced enough to where I feel comfortable that I can leave that hook and actually down somebody. Like, those are the maps that camping is my like a tactic I don't want to impart as much, because I can actively leave the hook and are able to actually get it down because your tiles aren't busted. Now, tiles aren't everything, because obviously the tiles on Midwich aren't strong, but I still feel like camping is a good tactic on Midwich. Because sometimes you have to protect gens on a certain level or some shit like that. So core map design is a factor that influences camping. You see a lot of camping in part because map design in this game is fucking terrible. Okay? So again, it has nothing to do with MMR. It has nothing to do with the matchmaking system that we're using. It has to do with the core gameplay issues that have existed and people like myself have advocated to get fixed for a very, very, very long time. And again, your favorite content creators have pushed those issues to the side because they don't give a fuck. Okay? I'm the only one, I'm going to keep saying this, I am the only one that has ever cared about you. I am the only one that has ever advocated for these issues to get fucking fixed, because I know that shit like this, shit like the camping epidemic, will get fixed if you balance the game. Because balance and fun go hand in fucking hand. You want more balance, you want more fun in Dead by Daylight, you need more balance in Dead by Daylight. Because right now, the quote-unquote scummy play just happens to be the best thing you can do to secure kills, especially against solo queue groups. Because if you play 4 competent solo players, the only thing that's killing them is their lack of coordination. And the way that you can confuse them and encourage misplays is by actually camping the hook. It's unfortunate that this is true. Like, I don't hate the messenger. If you want to like get this fixed, and again, you can promote for this to just punish camping and not fix anything else. But I'm telling you that unless the anti-camping strat that they're testing right now is busted, which again, it could be, who knows? We haven't seen it yet. But unless that's really, really busted, I'm telling you that most killers are going to work with it. Especially the ones like Trickster and Leatherface, whose camping is literally built into their kits. It's literally, or Myers even has some camping built. Like, a lot of these characters have camping built into their core gameplay, their core design. So unless this anti-camping measure is really good, like you're not gonna see it affect anything very much. And then especially those 3 characters right there, their camping is certainly, they don't care about the guy on the hook. They want to get you, the person that's coming for the rescue. And then once they have that slug, it doesn't matter. Once they have that slug, the gens are going to be slowed down enough to where that person's going to, I find it very hard to believe that whatever they're going to put into the game to punish face camping is actually going to negate face camping, especially on characters that are really good at it. You can understand my skepticism there. If you want to fix camping, you need to balance the game. That is the best way to fucking do it. Balance the game. Nerf the survivors. Put that Mori mechanic in the game as fast as fucking possible. That Mori mechanic right now should be #1 priority. That should be in the game before summer of next year. If I was in charge of that company, that mooring mechanic would be in the game by summer of next year. Because that is the most needed mechanic in the game right now, due in part to the fact that the early game features got wrapped up into it. Because the whatever mechanics that they were working on to slow the game down have been imparted into that mooring mechanic, that is the biggest candidate right now for the bomb that I've been talking about. The bomb that is going to save this game and with the survivor nerfs. Like, you have to buff the killers and nerf the survivors. And again, if you make some characters too strong by these buffs, you can always go back and nerf them later, okay? You will still overall lower the amount of changes you need to make through core gameplay mechanics that buff killer. You can nerf the busted characters later, okay? Let's nerf them all later. Right now, let's get those keystones viable so that the keystones don't have to camp. That's what we need. That's what we want. We want the keystones to not have to camp. And then maybe once you impart these core changes, you start to see new life breathed into other characters like Demogorgon, who are only bad because of a bad core. Like, you will start to see things like that. Like, I am the only one who has been promoting game health and balance because I know they go hand in hand. Fun and balance go hand in hand. I think Patrick, the game designer, has a grasp of this, and the entire community has shat on him for no reason. He's the only one that has ever said fun and balance go hand in hand. And I feel like that is a mentality that you need to accept because it's absolutely the fucking truth. And if you want killers to play in a way that's more fun, especially us killers that only care about winning, if you want us to play in a manner that's more fun to you, you have to accept nerfs. Because right now, what killers are doing is a response to what the meta Gen Rush is. The Gen Rush meta, what we do is a response to that. It's the best way to stop that, the best way to section off the map so we can open up and exploit flaws in the survivors. Because it's the best way to do that. Again, especially solo queue. Against top percent Swift, they beat anything. But if we want to win and stay at high MMR, we have to do shit like this. Especially when we're playing weak characters like Michael Myers. That's all I can say. So that's my video on this topic. I haven't seen that notion that much, and I don't think a major content creator has tackled it yet, but I've still seen it more than I'd like. That the MMR system promotes camping. The MMR system promotes nothing but get the kills. So if you feel like if one way of playing is being perpetrated over the other by MMR, it's simply because that tactic is the meta. And again, I've long suspected that camping is the meta in this game, but I didn't want to get shat on. But now I think it's becoming clearer and clearer that it actually is. So I'm getting the hell out of here. That's all I have to say. Fix the balance. The camping will sort itself out. Okay, I'm getting the hell out of here. GG's, lads.